yo sí lo escuché y yo... ¡Vamos!
Si es una bomba, las bombas caen donde sea.
In the pitch-black darkness enveloping the Caribbean Sea, at midnight on the 3rd of January, 2026, a storm of steel was silently brewing off the coast of Venezuela. From the USS Gerald R. Ford, a colossal war machine stretching over 1,093 feet in length, housing over 4,500 sailors and nearly 90 combat aircraft, the tension was suffocating. On the deck, the roaring engines of F-35 Lightning II and F-22 Raptor jets blended with the crashing waves, signaling an unprecedented military operation about to unfold. This wasn't just a regular airstrike, it was a precise lightning-fast strike with the ultimate goal: to capture President Nicolás Maduro and bring him back to the U.S. to face justice. Comment 1 if you support the United States, or 2 if you stand with Venezuela. Hundreds of miles away, at a covert U.S. Air Base in Colombia, fighter squadrons were primed and ready. The F-35s, equipped with cutting-edge stealth technology and a weapons payload of up to 18,000 pounds, were loaded with AGM-158 JASSMER cruise missiles, joint air-to-surface, standoff missile, extended range. These missiles, developed by Lockheed Martin, boast a range of up to 609 miles, carry a warhead weighing nearly 1,000 pounds, and are designed to penetrate fortified targets with an accuracy of under 10 feet thanks to GPS and infrared guidance systems. Alongside them were GBU-39 SDB, small diameter bomb, precision-guided bombs, each weighing just 285 pounds but capable of destroying targets with an error margin of less than 3 feet, ideal for minimizing unintended civilian casualties. Aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford, technicians performed final checks on weapon systems and communications. The operation commander, Colonel James R. Carter, stood in the command center, eyes glued to radar screens displaying critical targets in Venezuela. "We've got a very narrow window," he told his junior officers, his voice low but resolute. Venezuela's air defense systems, especially the S-300 and S-125 complexes at La Carlota and Fuerte Tiuna, must be neutralized within the first 45 minutes. There's no room for error. Preparations had begun weeks earlier. Reconnaissance satellites from the U.S. National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NGA, continuously captured high-resolution images of Venezuelan military installations, pinpointing the exact locations of early warning radars, air defense command centers, and missile launchers. These images were combined with data from RQ-4 Global Hawk drones, flying at altitudes above 59,000 feet, beyond the reach of enemy radar. All intel was relayed to the command center at the Pentagon, where experts analyzed every minute detail from guard patrol schedules at Fuerte Tiuna to the response times of Venezuela's Air Force to potential threats. On the night of the 2nd of January, F-35 and F-22 pilots were summoned for their mission briefing. They were assigned specific targets: early warning radar at La Carlota, Air Defense Command at Fuerte Tiuna, and S-300 launchers, long-range Russian-supplied air defense missiles capable of downing targets at a range of 124 miles. "We'll use stealth tactics combined with standoff attacks," explained Lieutenant Colonel Emily Hayes, commander of the F-35 squadron, during the briefing. JASSMER missiles will be launched from a distance of 186 miles, outside their radar range. Once their radar is blinded, we'll move in for precision strikes. Leave no chance for retaliation. As the clock struck midnight local time on the 3rd of January, 2026, the Caribbean sky came alive with undetectable movements. From the USS Gerald R. Ford, positioned about 230 miles off Venezuela's coast, F-35 Lightning II and F-22 Raptor jets took off into the darkness. The roar of the Pratt & Whitney F-135 engines on the F-35s, generating up to 43,000 pounds of thrust, echoed across the deck before they melted into the night, vanishing from enemy radar thanks to advanced stealth technology. Simultaneously, From a temporary U.S. airbase in Colombia, another squadron lifted off, carrying AGM-158 JASSM-ER cruise missiles and GBU-39 SDB precision-guided bombs. The first objective of the operation was to completely disable Venezuela's air defense network, a mix of Russian-supplied S-300 complexes and older Soviet-era S-125 systems. The S-300 units, deployed at La Carlota Air Base and the Fuerte Tiuna military zone near the capital, Caracas, could detect and engage targets up to 124 miles away, with 4 8N6E2 missiles traveling at Mach 6. These posed the greatest threat to any airstrike operation, and the U.S. knew that failing to neutralize them immediately would jeopardize the entire plan. The strategy employed was a blend of stealth and long-range strikes. The F-35s and F-22s, with radar-absorbing coatings and aerodynamic designs to minimize heat signatures, flew at low altitudes below 16,400 feet to evade early warning radar detection. At a distance of about 186 miles, well beyond the reach of Venezuelan air defense systems, the squadron began launching AGM-158 JASSM-ER missiles. Each missile, 14 feet long and weighing 2,250 pounds, was pre-programmed to follow terrain-hugging flight paths, using valleys and hills to mask their approach. With GPS and inertial navigation combined with infrared sensors for terminal guidance, the JASSM-ER could strike targets with an accuracy of under 10 feet, even under electronic jamming. The initial wave targeted early warning radars at La Carlota, specifically the 64N6E Big Bird radar of the S-300 system, capable of detecting targets up to 186 miles away. At 12:45 a.m., a barrage of JASSM-ER missiles descended at subsonic speeds of about 547 miles per hour, detonating precisely on the radar antennas. The destructive force of the nearly 1,000-pound warheads, combined with steel fragments flying at thousands of feet per second, reduced the radar stations to twisted metal in an instant. Simultaneously, other missiles struck the Air Defense Command Center at Fuerte Tiuna, where Venezuelan officers coordinated anti-air responses. The three-story, reinforced concrete building collapsed entirely under the power of penetrating warheads. Next, the S-300 and S-125 launchers at both locations became targets for GBU-39 SDB bombs. Weighing just 285 pounds but guided by GPS and laser, these bombs could penetrate over 3 feet of concrete before exploding. F-35 pilots, flying at a safe altitude of 32,800 feet, dropped the bombs with near-perfect accuracy, completely destroying the launchers before they could fire a single missile. Within 30 minutes, from 12:45 to 1:15 a.m., Venezuela's air defense network around Caracas was rendered entirely blind. No radar, no command center, no means of retaliation. The Venezuelan skies were now under total U.S. air dominance. With the air defense grid neutralized, the second phase of the operation kicked off immediately. At 1:15 a.m., F-35 and F-16 Fighting Falcon squadrons, taking off from the base in Colombia, and the USS Gerald R. Ford, launched precision airstrikes on 3 critical targets: La Carlota Air Base, La Guaira Port, and the Fuerte Tiuna military zone. The goal of this phase wasn't just to destroy key military infrastructure, but also to ensure that Venezuelan forces couldn't mount a counterattack anytime soon. At La Carlota Air Base, home to Venezuela's Su-30 MKV fighter jets, the F-35 squadron led the first assault. These Russian-made Su-32s, capable of reaching speeds up to Mach 2 and carrying up to 17,600 pounds of weaponry, posed a significant threat if they managed to get airborne. But thanks to intel from RQ-4 Global Hawk drones, the U.S. knew most of the fleet was parked in hangars at La Carlota. F-35 pilots dropped GBU-39 SDB bombs, targeting the hangars and runways with pinpoint accuracy. Each bomb, guided by laser from a nearby target-designating aircraft, punched through the hangar roofs and exploded inside, completely destroying 6 remaining Su-32s. The main runway was also obliterated by JDAM bombs weighing nearly 2,000 pounds, creating craters several feet deep, rendering any takeoff attempts futile. Meanwhile, at La Guaira Port, about 18 miles north of Caracas, an F-16 squadron focused on demolishing Venezuelan weapon stockpiles and naval vessels. This port served as a vital logistics hub, storing ammunition and fuel for the armed forces. F-16 pilots launched AGM-65 Maverick missiles, air-to-ground weapons with warheads weighing 300 pounds, capable of penetrating concrete bunkers and steel ships. A massive ammunition depot at the port erupted violently after a direct hit, sending a fireball dozens of feet into the air, visible from miles away. 3 Guaycamacuto-class patrol boats of the Venezuelan Navy, each 180 feet long and armed with a 76mm cannon, were also sunk at the dock after being struck by Maverick missiles. Thick black smoke engulfed the area, signaling the complete collapse of this logistics center. At Fuerte Tiuna, the largest military zone and headquarters of Venezuela's Ministry of Defense, F-35 squadrons continued their airstrikes with deadly precision. Targets included the ministry headquarters, ammunition depots, and communication centers. To limit civilian casualties, the U.S. avoided using massive ordnance like the GBU-43 MOAB, opting instead for precision-guided weapons. GBU-39 SDB bombs and JASSM-ER missiles were deployed relentlessly, completely destroying command buildings and crippling military communications. A large ammunition depot at Fuerte Tiuna exploded after a direct hit, triggering a series of secondary blasts lasting several minutes, wiping out hundreds of tons of munitions and weaponry. By 1:45 a.m., just 30 minutes of continuous airstrikes later, all 3 critical targets were reduced to rubble. The Venezuelan Air Force had no means to retaliate, the Navy lost its key logistics hub, and the Ministry of Defense was cut off from communicating with remaining units. This phase concluded with success beyond expectations, paving the way for the operation's most crucial objective, capturing President Nicolás Maduro. At 1:45 a.m., as smoke still rose from the freshly struck targets, 2 MH-60 Black Hawk helicopters from Delta Force took off from the amphibious assault ship USS Iwo Jima, positioned about 92 miles off Venezuela's coast. These helicopters, with a top speed of 183 miles per hour and the capacity to carry up to 11 soldiers with gear, were specially designed for rapid infiltration and extraction missions. Flying at altitudes below 328 feet, using hilly terrain and darkness to avoid detection, the 2 MH-60 headed straight for their target, President Maduro's private residence within the Fuerte Tiuna military zone. The tactic was a lightning-fast raid, with tight coordination between 2 teams. Helicopter number 1 carried a 12-man Delta Force team, an elite U.S. Special Operations unit trained for high-value target captures. Helicopter number 2 provided support, equipped with an M134 minigun firing at a rate of 6,000 rounds per minute and flares to disorient enemy guards. As they neared the target area at 1:55 a.m., both helicopters slowed down and hovered at just 98 feet, nearly brushing treetops to avoid detection by any remaining radar systems. At Maduro's residence, a 3-story villa guarded by about 20 Venezuelan National Guard soldiers, the Delta Force team executed a fast rope descent from helicopter number 1. 12 operatives, armed with suppressed M4A1 rifles and ANPVS-31 night vision goggles, slid down ropes into the villa's backyard in under 30 seconds. Simultaneously, helicopter number 2 unleashed flares and opened fire with its machine gun on defensive positions at the front, creating chaos and diverting the guards' attention. The assault team quickly breached the back door with C4 explosives, taking just 10 seconds to gain entry. The National Guard, caught off guard and unable to organize resistance, offered only feeble opposition before being subdued. 2 Delta Force operatives used stun grenades to neutralize guard rooms, while the rest of the team stormed the 3rd floor, where Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, were believed to be sleeping. The bedroom door was blown open with a small charge, and within 2 minutes, both were secured without any U.S. casualties. Maduro, in his pajamas and visibly panicked, was handcuffed and blindfolded before being escorted out. The entire capture process took just 8 minutes, from 1:58 to 2:06 a.m. The Delta Force team, along with the 2 captives, swiftly returned to the backyard, where helicopter number 1 awaited. Meanwhile, helicopter number 2 continued providing cover, firing additional flares to deter any pursuit by Venezuelan forces. By 2:10 a.m., both helicopters lifted off, leaving Fuerte Tiuna without further interference. After completing the capture, the two MH-60 Black Hawks flew directly toward the USS Iwo Jima, about 92 miles off the coast. To ensure a safe withdrawal, F-35 jets patrolled the skies, ready to intercept any Venezuelan Air Force counterattacks. However, with the air defense network neutralized and most Su-30 fighters destroyed at La Carlota, there were no signs of Venezuelan forces mounting a pursuit. During the retreat, the MH-60 seconds flew at extremely low altitudes, below 164 feet, to avoid detection by any remaining civilian or air defense radars. The Delta Force team, inside the helicopter cabins, closely monitored Maduro and Flores, ensuring no resistance. By 2:30 a.m., both helicopters landed safely on the deck of the USS Iwo Jima, concluding the final phase of the operation. Maduro and his wife were taken to a secure holding area on the ship, under strict guard by U.S. Marines. The lightning strike operation into Venezuela on the 3rd of January, 2026, stood as a testament to the overwhelming military might of the U.S., combining cutting-edge technology, precise tactics, and flawless coordination across forces. In less than 2 hours, the U.S. completely disabled Venezuela's air defenses, demolished critical military infrastructure, and successfully captured President Nicolás Maduro without sustaining any casualties on their side. On the financial damage front, Venezuela suffered staggering losses. The S-300 air defense systems, each valued at around $150 million, were completely destroyed at La Carlota and Fuerte Tiuna, resulting in an estimated loss of $300 million. The Su-30 MKV fighters, each worth about $45 million, lost 6 units, equating to $270 million. La Guaira Port, with its destroyed weapon stockpiles and naval vessels, sustained damages estimated at $200 million. In total, Venezuela's losses could exceed $1 billion, not counting rebuilding costs and personnel casualties. Meanwhile, the U.S. expended approximately $50 million on JASSMER missiles, each costing about $1.2 million, GBU-39 SDB bombs, each around $40,000, and operational costs for aircraft and helicopters. With no losses in personnel or equipment, this operation became one of the most cost-effective military actions in modern U.S. history. The assault was not only a severe blow to the Maduro regime, but also sent a clear message. With superior military strength and technology, the U.S. can execute precision operations anywhere in the world, achieving objectives with minimal losses. However, the political and humanitarian consequences of this operation remain a subject of intense debate as Venezuela plunges deeper into chaos following this historic event. Comment 1 if you support the United States, or 2 if you stand with Venezuela.